We want Glazers and we want Glazers. We want Glazers and we want Glazers.
Manchester United is reportedly set to be taken off the market by the Glazer family. Shares for the Red Devils fell by a whopping 21% after the news broke that the Glazers may not sell the club. It's the lowest value the club has had since the Glazers put it on the market in 2012.
Well, this is not the first time this has happened in this protest, in this alleged sale process, or indeed during their tenure, but specifically during this sale process. There have been various times where information has, apparently leaked out of one side or the other, one camp or the other, and that's sent the share price either soaring or falling, as in this case, because of rumours that it's not going to be, the club's not going to be sold at all. As I say, the story came out, was published on Sunday, alleging that the Glazers were going to take the club off the market 10 months after beginning the process. But as of yet, there's been no confirmation of that. Both the interested parties, we understand, have not been told that is the case, and indeed, depending on who you speak to, some people think a deal is still progressing and in the works. It's come down to money, as it always does. The only reason to take the club off the market, if you're the Glazers, is because you feel, one, the prices you've been, or the offers you've been receiving so far are not fair and enough, and two, that you believe at some point down the line, however long is it, short, medium, long term, that actually the people, either the current bidders or other bidders, will realise actually Manchester United is worth what we say it is, or closer to what we say it is, and will come back with a better bid. Now, what that is predicated on, perhaps they are anticipating a huge upturn in TV revenue, particularly from overseas, in the next deals, with the tenders are going out fairly soon for that. Perhaps they think, well, hang on, the income stream is going to be a lot larger in, say, 18 months' time. It's going to be a lot larger then, and therefore any price for the club should reflect that. And if no one's willing to pay it now, or maybe when that money starts coming in, they will be.
United fans have been dissatisfied with the Glazers' ownership for a number of years now, but how will they be impacted by the news that the club might be taken off the market? And are the Glazers even bothered about the fans?
In terms of toxicity, I think the Glazers' track record suggests they don't really care very much about the toxicity from the fans. And I think if I were them, and I've never been a billionaire investment family, but that such is the antipathy towards them now that they will say, well, why should we? It's not as if they sold now that everyone go, oh, do you know what? The Glazers were all right after all. We really quite liked them. They were good. It's not as if it's going to redeem them in the eyes of most Manchester United fans. So the Manchester United fans' antipathy during this process is neither here nor there to them. It's like, no, if we are going to sell the club, we are going to get the best price. It's going to be on our terms, and we're not going to be dictated to by the fans or by any of the bidders or anybody else. Why should we care about the opinions of people who don't like us and want us out of the club? So, well, maybe we will get out of the club, but we will do it on our own terms. So I don't think it really affects them. And I think we did see when that Liverpool-Manchester United game was postponed as a result of those protests. I mean, that's the only time where I really think that the protests have made a big impact, where it potentially started becoming a problem for the Glazers. I mean, they've tried to organise sort of boycotts of sponsors before, and which have worked to a certain extent, but they, like all these things, they peter out after a while. Nothing has really changed. That kind of sit-in protest, it looks good. It looks good on TV. It sounds good on the radio, but does it have an impact on the Glazers? I don't really care. I don't think there's even been a story out that perhaps some of the noise of the protest and some of the footage of the protest being kind of edited out of highlights packages as well. So it's quite easy for the Glazers to ignore that. It's only when things escalate to the stage of games getting postponed, and then at which point the Premier League and the broadcasters say, hey, this is not great. We need to stop this. But then if you just increase the security, put a few more quid into security, then it stops it again. So I don't see fan unrest having any impact at current levels on the Glazers' willingness to get a deal done.
United are currently valued at around £3 billion, but reports suggest the Glazers are holding out for more than that. So how much is the club worth? And how many bidders will actually be willing to pay that amount for the Red Devils?
As the price goes up from, say, the 3 billion it's nominally worth up towards this 10 billion 10 billion point, the number of people or number of parties who would willingly pay that money gets very, very small. You really are starting to talk with either stupidly wealthy people who probably who want something to have some fun with, not necessarily they don't mind losing some money. They don't want to lose their credibility by running a business that's terrible, but they want a blue ticket, a fantastic brand, something they can associate themselves with. So, one of the richest billionaires in the world, potentially as an individual or through his company, could do that. But otherwise, I think it's much more likely to be as a trophy asset for a sovereign wealth fund. And because we've already got one sovereign wealth fund owning a football club in the Premier League, the number of those is not very big. The money's not going to come from China. I mean, I still think India might be an outside possibility, but really the only real areas to come from. Again, also got the Abu Dhabi group as well. So that's another. It's going to be probably something from the Middle East, and Qatar, given their history of bidding big and paying big for football in relation to both PSG and staging the World Cup, they're the most logical place. But yeah, the number of candidates to buy a club, even by Manchester United, even at the price it is now, is very small, and it gets smaller if you get to 10 billion.